We all in our places with the bright, shiny faces? Okay. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City of Citrus Heights City Council meeting of September 10th. Let us take a roll call first.
Councilmember Middleton is absent. Councilmember Nelson.
Present.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Here.
Vice Mayor Lopez Taff.
Here.
And Mayor Karpinski Costa.
Present. I would ask Vice Mayor Lopez Taft to lead us in the pledge.
All right, please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hang on. Video statement is next. Thank you.
This meeting, this meeting of the Citrus Heights City Council is live and recorded with closed captioning. It is cablecast on Metro Cable Channel 14, the local government affairs channel on the Comcast and DirecTV Uverse cable systems. It is also live streamed at citrusheights.net. Tonight's meeting replays on Monday, September 15th at 9 a.m. on Metro Cable 14, and this video can also be viewed on the city's YouTube channel.
Next item, please.
Next item is approval of agenda.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next item, please.
The next item is presentation number 4, presentation by Sacramento County on the Homeless Regional Collaboration Model.
Great. Good evening. Thank you so much for having us here. We really appreciate your time. My name is Emily Halkin, and I am the director of the County of Sacramento's Department of Homeless Services and Housing. And with me here tonight are a few of my colleagues. Supervisor Rosario Rodriguez is here, County Executive David Villanueva, and Deputy County Executive Siobhan Katari. So we really appreciate your time and really look forward to hearing your input on this item. So as you know, addressing homelessness is a very complex issue. The causes and the impacts of homelessness vary, and there is no single solution. And just as the needs of those individuals experiencing homelessness throughout our community vary widely, we also want to recognize that those folks working in this space, including government, but also our nonprofit partners, advocates, faith community, et cetera, have different priorities and different capabilities to bring to this. However, one thing that we do hear pretty consistently, and I'm assuming that you may as well, is the desire for more transparency in our work and for stronger actions that really reflect the urgency of this complex issue. Homeless numbers have been rising in recent years throughout our community, and our residents are looking more towards you, towards local elected officials, to take bold actions and to more directly oversee a lot of the work that's happening here in our community. We have to acknowledge that today there is some fragmentation as the decisions on how we address homelessness are taken in multiple bodies. It's taken by different elected bodies such as yourself. It's also taken by some appointed bodies. And while throughout all these bodies the staff work incredibly well together, we're all responding at times to different policy direction. So tonight I'm here to present to you a model for rethinking how we might approach this work. Really importantly, this model seeks to retain local jurisdictional control of existing housing and homeless funding, as well as land use decisions that you currently oversee, but also attempts to create a space where local elected officials can help to drive policy and set a strategic vision throughout the community on how we comprehensively address homelessness. We have to acknowledge that a part of it is delivering meaningful services to people living unsheltered, but also how do we braid new funding sources into those solutions, and then how do we integrate this with localized efforts on street management and management of public spaces. County staff have been working with your city manager and his staff for quite a while, for the past few months, to get their input and thoughts, and so tonight we're here to get your input. So before I discuss the proposed changes, just a little bit of level setting and history to help understand how we got here today. Central to sort of the history of how we think about delivering services in the homeless system of care is the concept of a continuum of care, or COC. Many folks, including us, consider the COC really the backbone of the delivery of homeless systems. COCs, as a function of the federal government, were modeled after what was happening in many communities in a grassroots way prior to the federal government engaging, which was really only about 30 years ago. And while local government has always had a really big role in delivering some social services, it was only about 10 years ago that you started seeing in California the creation of positions and departments such as mine embedded within local government specifically to address homelessness. And this is also when you started seeing bigger investments from the state with the HAP funds and the ERF funds and other programs that they oversee. And so today, 30 years after the creation of COCs, we have a lot more resources than we ever could have imagined. I do want to note that our COC has been incredibly successful at garnering funds. Today, they oversee just over $40 million of funds from the federal government, as well as changing numbers from the state HAP grant, but I think this year their allocation is about $8 million. But we also have a lot more challenges in addressing homelessness, a lot more complexity to this issue, and we haven't really revisited the structure that we've had in place for quite a while. So the organization and responsibilities of a continuum of care is laid out in federal statute, and just really general, most COCs have three components. First, there's the broad, often large membership of those who are working collectively to prevent and end homelessness. That's what's called the COC membership in this bubble. Secondly is a smaller appointed board, typically appointed board, to make administrative decisions around those COC responsibilities. And those are really explicitly laid out in federal law. They have to oversee the application for funding every year. They oversee the point in time count. They oversee and manage the Homeless Management Information System, which is our database. And then the third component in federal statute is you have an administrative entity called the collaborative applicant. And that's typically a government entity or a nonprofit, and they really run the day-to-day work of a COC. And in federal statute, these three components are mutually exclusive. In Sacramento, we currently have a structure with a little bit more ambiguity there, where there's not really a lot of distinction between the COC membership and the COC board. And you should be familiar with Sacramento Steps Forward, who is the local nonprofit who serves as our collaborative applicant and HMIS lead. And so while the COC provides the direction related to COC funding and activities, which are broad, as you know, local elected bodies, such as yourself, are often where the community comes looking for solutions to address homelessness. So with that history and a little bit of the federal landscape, I want to shift back to our community and the efforts that we're working on. As we are facing not only a rise in homelessness, we're seeing a rise in an expectation that the community asks that we change our approach. There's a strong interest not only in ensuring that we're providing services to those in need, but also addressing the unintended impacts of unsheltered homelessness on the broader community. In addition, federal and state policy is shifting in a very similar way. It's really requiring that we're closer connecting our community engagement activities with street management activities, with our relationships with businesses and economic development activities. And as we see likely more shifts and cuts in federal funding and programs, there's also a need to be more creative and braid and leverage other funding sources. Most of those are social service funding programs that are run through the county. And so back almost now 2 years ago, the County of Sacramento, along with the Sacramento Steps Forward and the City of Sacramento, engaged a consultant to help offer some considerations on how we might think about a new model of leadership in the homeless system of care. And so this has been going on for a while. We've presented various iterations to staff and run some changes through that. And myself presented to the Board of Supervisors last month. Following the workshop with the board, they asked us to reach out to you, all of the cities in the county, and seek your input. And so today's is really the result of about 18 months of work with staff, much of which has involved your staff. So I believe you have a printout of this because it's a little bit difficult to see on the screen, so my apologies. We try to fit a lot into this visual. I just want to run you through what this is trying to represent, and I do want to acknowledge there's a lot of parts here that are not represented. We're trying to simplify this, and it's a very complex issue, so please interrupt or ask questions if you are not following. Currently, as I said previously, we have a COC board that consists entirely of non-elected community members. We also have a homeless policy council, which has not met in a while, but I think a few of you have participated in the past, which consists almost entirely of elected officials from throughout the county. And this model attempts at its core to merge these two concepts into what we're calling the Sacramento Homeless and Housing Board, or SHHB, shown in the yellow box in the middle, really elevating the responsibilities of both of these boards and rethinking membership to provide a greater level of public accountability. So working from top to bottom, in the red are the existing 8 elected bodies in Sacramento County. We are not proposing any changes to roles or responsibilities. Each of these jurisdictions retain budgeting authority and authority to set policy and program decisions for your local community. Below the red box in what's kind of transparent purple is intended to represent that broader COC membership that I talked about a couple of slides ago. This membership should be very diverse. It should probably be very large. It should be inclusive of service providers, advocates, partners in the criminal justice system, healthcare partners, businesses, et cetera. In this model, this group would probably convene a couple times a year, more in a learning forum. I believe that the vice mayor may have attended a similar forum a couple of weeks ago. And this is a more sharing atmosphere where you might lift up new ideas, share successes, share some high-level system data. In this model, then, going down, the work of the COC is really intended to be pulled closer to the work that's already happening within communities. So we as government staff are already doing a lot of work that's complementary to what the COC does. We're operating shelters. We are deploying street outreach teams. We are certainly doing a lot of encampment management. We're doing rehousing in diverse ways. We're proposing to consolidate what's currently at the COC with what's happening within jurisdictions and have participation in 2 ways. So in yellow, within the purple transparent box, is what we're calling the Sacramento Homeless and Housing Board. This would be that new body. It is acting as the COC board, but it's also taking on the establishment of a strategic vision for the community, setting regional goals, performance targets, and funding priorities. In this model, the board is primarily composed of elected officials who represent the broad constituency throughout the county, but who are advised and engaged actively with the COC membership, that broader purple box, through the biannual meetings that we just talked about, as well as through the subcommittees, which is really important and a really big shift in what's currently happening. So in the green to the right are the subcommittees. It's just, you could have as many or as few as you wanted. But really important here is right now the subcommittees of the COC really focus, as they should, on COC roles, administering the HMIS, setting up the point-in-time count. But we would imagine that now the subcommittee structure would expand beyond those COC functions and likely include subcommittees really digging deeply into community issues, such as provision of behavioral health services into our homeless populations or encampment response. These subcommittees could be decision-making. We could delegate down some of the activities that currently stop at the COC to subcommittees, and so it really wouldn't change a lot of what those folks would be doing, or they could be advisory. This new structure would really seek to infuse the voices of the community that currently are really integral to the COC into all of the other decisions happening in our community that are outside the purview of the COC. As one of our supervisors said when we shared this with them, the subcommittees really provide that expert advice from those people who are on the ground, running programs, working with encampments, to those who are publicly accountable, those like you who are elected officials, to help you make the best decisions and set the most appropriate vision. And then below that big purple box, in the blue box, is the strategic leadership group. This is comprised of decision-making staff of the various organizations implementing programs. So staff from the county, staff from all of the cities, the housing authority, and certainly our collaborative applicant, who is SSF. In the gray bubble to the left, I do want to point out that we are acknowledging that this requires work. This doesn't just sort of happen on its own. There is the need to dedicate staffing to manage this board and its activities and make sure that what we're promising here is actually carried out. We haven't currently defined sort of who's filling this role. In transition, we've talked about maybe it would make sense to bring on a consulting team to help build our capacity internally, but do want to acknowledge that that is a decision point once we sort of know participation levels. And finally, this is not shown on here, but I do want to note that the administration of the continuum of care, so that lead applicant role and HMIS lead, we are recommending remains with Sacramento Steps Forward. They're doing a great job, and they're a real benefit to our community. We're not proposing a change to the collaborative applicant with this model. Down the road, should that change need or want to be made, that new board, along with the COC membership, would make that decision. The real change here for Sacramento Steps Forward as a nonprofit organization is that they be getting more direct connection and direction from those same bodies of electeds who currently are speaking to us as city and county staff, but not necessarily as connected to the activities of COC. So it provides a little more streamlined direction to all of those working on the ground on this issue. As I noted earlier, in federal statute, the COC board, which is one of the functions of this new Homeless and Housing Board, is only required to, and this is a quote, be representative of relative organizations working to address homelessness, and it must include at least one member with lived experience of homelessness. How large the COC board and how the seats are filled is locally determined. And I should note that federal statute doesn't further define what that means. So there's a lot of discretion within those parameters. The proposed board that you saw on the previous slide, as I said, is set to serve as the COC board, but also really have many, many more functions beyond those that the COC carries. In such, we have heard a desire from local elected officials that they want to elevate this body to include those voices, but also strive to keep it as a really tight working group. I will share that we presented this to the COC board this morning. I think you may hear from some folks today, and I do want to acknowledge that this was probably a pain point for the COC board, and that feeling that more voices, especially more voices who are not elected, was really valuable. So on here, I sort of presented two slides, what I'm calling A and B. The reality is there's limitless choices. You can see COC boards that have 40 people. You can see COC boards that have 10 people. You could have no electeds, many electeds, et cetera. So this is, if there's other options out there, we're happy to hear your thoughts. In terms of the elected representation, we're proposing up to 10 elected officials, depending on which cities wanted to participate. And how you get to 10 is 2 from the County Board of Supervisors, 2 from the City Council, the City of Sacramento, and 1 from the balance of the cities within the county if they all participated. As you can see, both of them have at least a seat for one member with lived experience. And as you can see, option B then suggests maybe creating 4 set-aside seats for community members from specific sectors, which would have to be defined. It could be you want a healthcare partner, you want a justice partner, you want an education partner. And we're really looking for input from you on if either of these or neither of these feel right to you. The next 2 slides, really quickly, I'm going to run through, detail some of the roles of the proposed Homeless and Housing Board. We do envision, unlike the current Homeless Policy Council and unlike the COC Board, that this new board holds public, open meetings, Brown Act, they are all public and open, but Brown Act body meetings with agendas posted and minutes shared in a much more formalized way. As I said, the board would be the key body establishing the strategic plan for our community and setting vision around how our community is going to address homelessness. In addition, when they are acting as the COC board, they'd be establishing performance targets and overseeing the performance of the collaborative applicant, that is SSF in this case. And in this way, we're really hoping to create more transparency and accountability for the public, which has been a sort of a key issue that we hear over and over at the board. Some of the specific actions that might fall under the SHHB at initial implementation would include monitoring of the Regionally Coordinated Homelessness Action Plan. This is something that the City of Sacramento, the county, and the COC by mandate have to produce to get our HAP funds. Currently, the other cities participate a little bit, but really aren't as engaged, and we think you should be. We'd like to have more involvement from cities throughout the county. They'd also be directly developing or informing the development of localized data reports so that we are putting out the information that's most important to our constituency. We have a lot of data out there and a lot of people with interest, and I think this board could really help set the priorities for how we use that data. Certainly, if there was ever new federal funds or state funds, this board would help set priorities for new funds. I do want to note, I did say that the COC currently oversees over $40 million from the federal government. Most of that is tied to existing programs, so there's not a lot of, you can't take that money and fund new things. It's critically important to our community to sustain that funds, but it's not new $40 million that we can sort of be visionary with. So finally, this slide details the next steps. Over the next 2 months, or actually over the next month now, we'll be working with the cities in the county. We are set to present to the balance of the cities from now until early October. As I said, we met with the COC board this morning, seeking their input and their suggestions for improvements or changes. We would hope to get a sense of which jurisdictions, as well as the COC, might want to participate in the Sacramento Homeless and Housing Board by the end of this calendar year, which would then allow the staff of each of those participating entities to develop the nitty-gritty, what the MOU might look like, what the bylaws might start looking like, so that we can bring it back to any interested bodies for a formal vote and appointment from your own ranks to the board, probably early next year. This is pretty ambitious and want to recognize that, but we always try to shoot for the moon. If all this worked out, then the new board could be seated potentially as early as Q2 of next year and really start implementing some of these efforts to bring a level of transparency and accountability to our work. So with that, I will stop, see if you have any questions for me or for my colleagues.
Okay, we'll start with questions.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have any questions right at this moment, just a comment. So option B seems the better option to me, to include those extra voices. And if we were to move forward with this, I would just encourage the people who are currently engaged to stay engaged and to not let this kind of shift, deter them from continuing to let their voice be heard on the issue.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Thank you, Mayor. So throwing out a lot here, and certainly I have some concerns about how I realize that this is a sort of revamping of programs that we've had in the past, which haven't yielded a ton of results. And one of the challenges that I find is that the point-in-time count takes way too long. By the time we get the information we could have acted on, or we could have seen a result from an earlier, that's something taking a year to do a point-in-time count, or 6 months, or I don't even know what it is, but it's a long time. That's something that absolutely needs to get addressed. With regard to the options on the plans here, I see option B. I like the idea of having more people involved. The downside is it takes longer to take action on a bigger board. The meetings can go really long. The more people you have on the board, the meetings go long, and not as much can be accomplished. So I like the fact that there are 10 elected officials. I think that's really important. When I first came on to the council, I was assigned to the homeless board. And there we just heard about what the homeless problem was. Didn't really introduce any substantive results. So that's for me. I really want to break this down to small areas of, okay, so this is the goal, and how are we going to get to that goal? And these are the process indicators that we're meeting that goal. So this looks great on paper. I think we go with option B. That would be my preference as well. Even though there are some downsides to it, but certainly I want to see some goals, and some goals that are achievable. Some where we can show some progress, because throwing more and more and more money at this without showing some progress is how we wound up where we are today.
Appreciate it. If I could say one quick thing about the point in time, because I totally hear you and I do appreciate that, but maybe a little bright light in there is that a lot of the point in time delay in reporting is somewhat because the way the federal government collects and reports it out. But the good news is that we have a much more robust homeless management information system, which SSF is managing. And I know he's sitting behind me, but Trent Simmons, who oversees a lot of that, is really making an effort to have more real-time data. We shouldn't have to wait every 2 years, correct? And SSF has put out some really great dashboards to try to give high-level overview of inflow and outflow. And we're having some really great, robust conversations with SSF and our city partners. But that's the exact type of conversation we would see happening as a board, is saying, this is the data point we as a community desperate. We can't wait for the point in time count. We can't wait for this measure coming from the state. Here's the 5 priorities we have for you as our HMIS administrator to get out to the public, and here's how we want to communicate it. So I think we're really in a much better place, and I think this could get us to an even better place.
So, one other question, where's the nearest public health clinic for a homeless person who needs medical attention, is that just the emergency room? Is there any infrastructure from a public clinic standpoint?
There are definitely clinics. I'm not sure, there's federally qualified health clinic centers throughout your community run by nonprofits. I was also say we have core centers, and I'm not sure if Siobhan wants to talk about them. Those are for behavioral health instance, and there is a core center, I don't know the location, in Citrus Heights. So we are trying to diversify access points. They're not emergency services, but there are, and we can help get you some information for your constituents about where they can access health care outside the emergency room if that's a challenge you're seeing.
Well, and that's certainly the concern with somebody calls the fire department for emergency care, and
Sure.
suddenly the fire department's tied up for 5 hours at the emergency room.
We can also work with you. I know that we've been supporting the city of Citrus Heights and some of your outreach work, and the outreach navigation program is done by Community Health Works, and they are a CalAIM provider. And so a great benefit of marrying those two things, again, sort of one of the impetuses here, is that they can help people navigate through the Medi-Cal system and sign them up for preventative health care and help access that health care so that it doesn't get to a point, because I completely agree with you, that it's gotten to a point where the only option now is the emergency room, or people don't know how to navigate the system, so the default is to go to the emergency room.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My comments.
Thank you so much for presenting. I currently sit on the Homeless Commission, and I really do like option B, and for one particular reason. One, it opens it up to community leaders, which I think we have plenty of very interested community leaders that we won't want to miss their voices. But also, because of the balance of elected bodies, I like the fact that there are 2 from the Board of Supervisors and 2 from Sacramento Council and 1 from each of the other cities, because oftentimes it's 5 or 3, and that seems to be an outsized amount of votes for those particular bodies. So thank you for that mix that you're introducing there. My big concern is how much funding is going to be routed toward the structure.
Yeah.
And, I'm sure you have that information somewhere, but that would be something that I would like to have exposed early in the process, because we can't make a decision if we don't know if we're expected to make a contribution, if there's going to be some percentage that's going to be later down the line explained as our contribution to the structure, because all structures take support, and we want to know that up front, or at least I would imagine that we would want to know those numbers up front. The other thing is, with the continuum of care, or SAC steps, continuing to be, I'm guessing, in my mind, you said they're the collaborative applicant?
Yes.
Okay, so that would be the fiduciary.
Yes, as a
Am I
collaborative
missing it?
applicant, they oversee administration of the COC funds as well as some HAP funds that come from the state, yes.
Okay, so that would not change with your new structure proposed?
We are not proposing, I will say at the board, we did have a conversation about what it would take to change the lead applicant or the collaborative applicant. That is a decision that can be made only by the COC board. Our recommendation would be that we not make that change, get this structure in place, set up some accountability and some expectations, and then see if that, we don't see any reason to change that right now.
Okay, so that being said, then, if they are voting their own ability to remain the applicant or the fiduciary, in my mind, just makes better sense, then do they determine the contribution from each of the participating entities?
Is it they here, you mean Sacramento Steps Forward?
Yes.
So Sacramento Steps Forward does not currently have a voting voice on the COC board, and nor would they in this option. The voting members would be elected officials, potentially some community members, and a person with lived experience. They are administrators of the funds. There are some COCs where the lead applicant has a voting membership. That is not our current structure. To your first question about what's being asked, at this point, we are not expecting that funds would sort of shift from cities or counties into this structure, nor are we asking for a contribution. We recognize that especially the smaller cities, you don't have as big of a impact, but you also don't have the staff. So, SSF has a robust administrative staff. We have a somewhat robust administrative staff, and so we are not making an ask right now. I do think that it's appropriate to acknowledge that should the SHHB at some point want to grow and become bigger and do more collaborative administration, that probably would then introduce conversations about administrative support, but that's not our proposal. We are not proposing to shift responsibilities from any of the cities to this new board.
I personally, just by way of advice to you as you present this, I would love to know what the dollars and cents are that are at stake here. What are the different allocations that are given to the cities? What is the administrative cost that Sac Steps incurs, bills? I don't know what the terminology is for their administrative processes, because I think that too is part of the transparency we're interested in. I think that's really important to find out, because everybody's wondering, sure, we can talk in very broad terms, but when it comes down to it, these are tax dollars at stake, and we want to know where the dollars are.
Thank
I mean, I've sat on this board. I can't tell you where the dollars are going because there are 3 or 4 lines on an annual report that I have no idea what the detail means.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
First of all, thank you for coming, for sharing. I suspect this is the alternative to Senator Ashby's proposal. Is that what this is?
This was in development long before that, but certainly there's a lot of relation, right? But we had been working on this for almost a year before Senator Ashby's proposal, but yes.
Okay, so I want to echo concerns that she had. I sat on the homeless, excuse me, the 20-year homelessness, 20.
10-year plan to end chronic homelessness.
That was the one.
Yes.
And it 10 years was gone by, it never ended anything. And I was on that for many years. And so watch the money never get to the bottom where it needed to go, because it seemed to get stuck in administrative costs. So my concerns echo Vice Mayor's concerns that the structure is least important to me as it is on where the dollars are being generated and where they're going. And so the other problem we had on that board, it might have been 2 elected officials and many community members who would be your community leaders from specific, they don't know governance. And it was very difficult, especially during tent city when the tents were going up. They don't know governance. And so it was almost chaos to go to the meeting. This is when Kevin Johnson was mayor of Sacramento. And it's like, who wants to go to this meeting? So I don't know that option B is my favorite, because I think elected officials know how to conduct a meeting similar to SACOG but I believe we need to have some sort of an advisory, which was in Angelique's, her plan included an advisory council to the board, so that they get that input, but not necessarily, the governance of people who don't know how to govern, but they are passionate about what they know and do. So, but the governance to me is least important as the budget. And so, this is true. There was so much, we had the guy from the federal government came and gave a beautiful presentation. Here's all these millions of dollars, but they weren't, other than, what's the one that, one organization was really doing well, but the rest was like, I'm sorry, they just weren't coming up with solutions. It was, just listing problems. And so I don't know that, what it costs to have solutions. I like your continuum of care subcommittee, but they got to perform, and so is that where all the money goes? Or does it go to this bottom crowd of people? And so I'd want to know the financial structure.
Yeah, and so just a comment, I would equate the green subcommittees that you just called out as that advisory group. So those are the local experts, the folks from the continuum of care, people who have been working on the ground, convening and providing report and information and advice up to that elected body that you sort of referred to in the yellow. So it's recognizing that we probably need more than one subcommittee, maybe one to focus on outreach and engagement, maybe one to focus on housing solutions. And so that is where, in this model, the majority of sort of community voice would be, so that they could provide that expert advice up to the smaller board, which includes elected officials.
And where does SHRA fit in this?
Yeah, so SHRA they are noted down in the strategic leadership group as the Housing Authority leadership. SHRA is a separate joint powers authority, as you know, with the city and the county. They would still remain in this model, the functions that they serve as the Housing Authority and Housing Administrator. But we do recognize that their resources are really critically important to how we solve homelessness, right? They are a large landlord, they have a lot of resources. So we would look to pull them closer into the staff level work. And so that box saying Housing Authority leadership is meant to intend to say that we want them sitting alongside myself and your staff and SSF staff to really implement that vision set by the board.
So I suppose in the immediate accountability, you could take the 40 million that you currently have and you say it's all dedicated funds, it's already going, and show us where that's going. Kind of, if we can see where that 40 million's going, maybe we'll see what any future monies will go to. If it's all getting stuck at administrative and it's not getting to the people who are actually doing the performance, I would have a concern.
Yeah, I definitely hear you. I mean, the 40 million is the funds directly to the COC. I get this a lot from my board, and so we as a county put out annual reports on what we as the county spend through our budget. It's separate and apart from that 40 million, but I definitely hear you. There's a need to look holistically at our county, not just what's the county spending, what's Citrus Heights spending, but what is the COC spending and what are the outcomes. I completely agree.
And what board is she on?
I think Homeless Policy Council.
Do they ever meet? I don't even know that they've met. You never gave a report. Do they not meet?
They have not met for a good long time.
Yeah, so this was a board formed, I believe, right at the start of COVID by then Mayor Steinberg and Supervisor Kennedy to try to elevate the voices of electeds, called the Sacramento Homeless Policy Council. But I agree, and we've heard this pretty routinely, is that there wasn't really a clear direction or understanding about their roles, and so they gathered, and there was really great presentations and topics, but there was no actionable items. I don't think they've met in a while, I think in part because there's an acknowledgement that this conversation's going on, and so trying to codify sort of what that elected conversation would result in is part of the goal here, too.
Okay, so when we go to the October 27th event, are you going to present this there too? Is that?
It's October 28th, first of all.
28th.
So right now, that agenda is being finalized, and I believe that you're going to get connected with some of our consultants who are helping to form that agenda. This is one of the things that might be on the topics, but it has not been finalized yet.
Okay, well, I just want to ask if you do something like that, if you could bring some of the dollars, some of the things she said, 4 lines that she can't understand. If we could see some of the numbers, and then I'll share them with the council who may not be at the meeting,
We are working to collect some of that information regardless of whether this is presented. And so I am prepping in concert with your staff a high-level overview of what our community is budgeting for homelessness in all sorts of categories. So yes, we hope to have that. We have reached out to include budget information from all the cities as well as the continuum of care.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions after this bantering back? I want to thank my council members. Thank you
Thank you.
for coming.
Madam Mayor, if I could just say a couple words too. I just want to thank the county. We've been great partners as we've been looking to tackle this great challenge, and we've had a lot of collaborative discussions recently, meetings at County Administration Building with the staff team that's here and involving health and housing, Human Service and Housing Coordinator Nicole Piva, as well as Director Kempinar, and just appreciate the good relationship that we've been continuing to build.
Well, I can
Thanks for
see
coming
there's more to
tonight.
be done, but, we'll just kind of take it one step at a time. Okay. If that's it for that item, what's next?
Our next item is presentation number 5, proclamation of the City of Citrus Heights proclaiming September 14th through 20th, 2025 as National Forensic Science Week.
And I've asked Vice Mayor Lopez Taft to do this proclamation.
All right. So we have the Citrus Heights Police Department, Lieutenant Nicole Gehring, and Senior Crime Scene Property and Evidence Specialist Danielle Stevenson here tonight to accept the proclamation. Welcome, thank you. So I will read the proclamation, and then you can make your comments, and we will take a few pictures. Okay, proclamation of the City of Citrus Heights proclaiming September 18th, 2025 as its Find the Good Day. Oh,
Oh, did you get the wrong one?
no, I think I have a mixed up script.
What have you got, Kelsey?
Let me,
Have you got
nope,
forensic?
it is the National Forensic Science Week.
Okay.
Whereas the third week in September 2025 is recognized as National Forensics Week, and whereas forensic science service providers address critical questions in civil and criminal investigations and trials in the United States, including by providing scientific conclusions related to forensic evidence, and whereas forensic science service providers partner with federal agencies to build and maintain criminal databases related to latent prints, DNA, and other information relevant to criminal cases, as well as other federal, state, and local agencies to ensure public safety, and whereas forensic science service providers serve a vital role in the criminal justice system by providing scientific information to investigators and officers of the court, and whereas City of Citrus Heights crime scene property evidence specialists are trained in physical evidence collection, preservation, and reconstruction of crime scenes to preserve evidence for future prosecution, and whereas the City of Citrus Heights is committed to the use of forensic science in the investigation of crimes, the prosecution and conviction of the correct perpetrators of crimes, and the exoneration of innocent individuals falsely accused of crimes in the United States. Now therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Citrus Heights declares the week of September 14 through 20, 2025 as National Forensic Science Week in honor of the women and men whose diligence and professionalism are tremendous assets to the overall police department team as they work to keep our city and citizens safe. All right, welcome.
Hi, thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. Thanks so much for having us. I am your Senior Crime Scene Investigations, Danielle Stevenson. I've been with the department for 20 years now. Ooh, gosh, that's a lot. Couple minutes. I really appreciate your guys' support every year. We enjoy coming over here, seeing you guys, and honoring us for the Forensic Week. We try to hide out in our little bat cave, so sometimes it's nice to come out and be seen. So thanks for having us, and thanks for honoring us.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members, thank you for honoring them. I am Lieutenant Nikki Gehring, and I oversee our wonderful staff. They not only do CSI work, but they do all of the property and evidence retention that comes in through our doors, and they're constantly managing that as well. They are a fantastic group of folks that work extremely hard. They do great work. They work not just with us, but other county partners, including the DA's office. And a lot of what our success is because of the work that Danielle and her staff do. So I'm proud to be here representing them, and I'm proud that she's here as well. So thank you for this.
Well, we know you do important work, but I have a question. What's the most interesting thing you have over there in evidence right now?
Your new machine, right?
Yeah, so we have this amazing machine that fingerprints basically all of our property without us having to do it in our fish tank, which is the way we used to do it. It's kind of like a touch and go. We're nerding out over it. We're finding, we're like, let's just put everything in there and just process everything. So, and it's got fun lights, and it makes our jobs really easy because now we can process evidence and go back and do work. And then the light comes on and tells us it's done and it's flawless. I can clean it, so it's DNA sensitive. It's just all kinds of nerd stuff. That's super fun. As far as what's in my evidence room that's really interesting, I have this really big, like, bingo, like, type gambling table thing that we got years and years ago. And it's like a fishing game. It's random. I don't even know how we got it in there. It was by the luck that it's even in there. It'll probably never leave, but it's really random.
So I got a question, Mayor.
Go ahead.
So how long do you have to keep stuff? After the case is all processed, you have to keep all the evidence? How long do you have to keep the evidence after the?
That's a very complicated answer, but sometimes a long time, sometimes no more than 6 months. So it depends on the crime, depends on the statute of limitations, and depends on if the case is adjudicated. So all of those things are taken into consideration. Things such as like homicides are going to be indefinite. We'll keep that forever, or at least until the person who's been brought to justice is out of custody. Then we would be able to give things like that back. But generally speaking, that's going to be a forever thing. But some things can come into my warehouse and be gone within a couple of months. Those are my favorite. But yeah, it varies. And there's so many different areas where we have to maintain the laws changing and where the person's at in justice, how many suspects are involved. There's just so many different variables that change how long we keep things. So it's definitely a balancing act to make sure that the warehouse does not become overloaded with evidence and always has capacity for more.
Right, and while it's in your custody, there has to be a chain of custody. So
Yeah.
there's a level of, of maintenance that really comes with how much stuff is in the warehouse and where it is, and
Yes.
making sure that it's still where it's supposed to be.
And it's under temperature controlled or it's properly being handled. Yeah, it's a delicate dance that we do. We have lots of spinning plates.
Well, thank you for what you do. Appreciate that.
Do you have any comments?
Yes, thank you for everything you do. I appreciate how you said nerdy,
Yes.
that you are about it.
Oh, yes.
And your passion and your expertise comes across in how you talk about it. It's a super valuable feature of our PD, and it was made cool in my generation when CSI was on TV when I was a young teenager, and I watched it a lot.
Yes.
And so it kind of made, I feel like, your team superheroes in the public's eye. And like you said, you're normally hidden away. So it's cool to take a peek into what you get to do.
Thank you. Yeah, we kind of think so too. Although we don't wear high heels out to scenes, it is somewhat similar. And we don't solve crimes in like 30 minutes before the commercial break. But relatively speaking, it's incredibly interesting, just like what you see on TV.
I noticed they
Yeah.
get DNA in 15. You know, they-
Yeah, with our touch screens that you can't even see up in the air. Yeah, all that jazz. Yes.
Vice Mayor has one other comment.
So in the spirit, because you have such a cool job, in the spirit of informing our young people about how to get into this line of work, what would you encourage them to do as far as schooling? Who are you looking for if you were to hire for a job in this
That's
department?
An absolutely great question. So one thing I answer when I'm asked that question by people who are looking to get into the field is first and foremost, get in where you fit in. If you can get into a department in any capacity, you will highly benefit from it. Whether you become a dispatcher and you choose to come back to CSI, whether you become records, which is where I started my career in law enforcement, and you come back to CSI, no matter where you start in law enforcement, it will always benefit you no matter where you land. If you're in high school and you're looking for a career like this, focus on your writing skills, get classes in how to do photography, understanding cameras and things of that nature. Do ride-alongs, do sit-alongs, get interested, reach out to people, come up with a amount of questions and ask those questions, but not just to one person. Ask multiple agencies, ask sworn people, non-sworn people. The more data points you have, it will lead you to where you want to be. You may want to be in a smaller agency such as this, as opposed to a larger agency where I originated from. I actually like this more like family type feeling. It feels like I'm not just a number, but there was value in where I came from because it was such a large entity, the moving cogs. I learned a lot really fast. And I was able to bring that here. So I would say do as much research as you can as to the different agencies, whether it be a sheriff's department or a police department, and what they offer and how different they are. And start just doing the things that you can do as a civilian. Anything in college when it comes to English and writing and camera settings is great for being in CSI.
What about chemistry? What happened to chemistry?
Chemistry, that used to be a part of when I first started. We used to actually be mixing chemicals, but so much of nowadays you can buy the chemicals already pre-mixed, and so
You
I
don't
don't
have to
even
know
know I
what
could
they are.
properly mix anymore safely.
There is one more way that they can get involved, and that's our Explorer program. So 14 to 20 and a half.
Okay,
Thank you.
time for a photo?
Yeah.
All right.
Photo op. I'm used to not being in the photos.
So you're in. You get to be on this side.
We're all going to slide over this way a little bit. Yeah, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Next item, please.
So our next item is presentation number 6, proclamation of the City of Citrus Heights proclaiming September 18th, 2025 as Find the Good Day.
I've asked Councilmember Nelson if she's got the right script to do this one.
It appears that I do, Mayor. Thank
Okay.
you. So we have Junior League President Ali Dumas and Junior League Sustainer Annette Pachetti here tonight. Come on up. Thank you. These ladies will accept the proclamation in honor of Find the Good Day. So, Citrus Heights proclaims September 18th, 2025 as its Find the Good Day. Whereas the Junior League of Sacramento is dedicated to promoting volunteerism, empowering women, and enhancing communities through effective leadership and action. And whereas Find the Good Day, observed on September 18th, 2025, encourages individuals to recognize and celebrate the positive aspects of their communities, to lift up one another through words and actions, and to intentionally seek opportunities that foster optimism, gratitude, and goodwill. And whereas on this day, we pause to acknowledge the importance of kindness, compassion, and community service as essential values that drive positive change, build stronger and more resilient neighborhoods, and remind us that small acts of goodness can create a lasting impact. And whereas the Junior League of Sacramento continues to play a pivotal role in advocating for meaningful community initiatives, cultivating civic leaders, and empowering individuals to contribute their time, talent, and resources in ways that make a lasting difference for generations to come. And whereas recognizing Find the Good Day promotes mental well-being, resilience, and stronger connections among family, friends, and neighbors, and whereas the City of Citrus Heights values the contributions of organizations and residents who embody the same principles of service, kindness, and community engagement that define Find the Good Day. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of Citrus Heights declares September 18th, 2025 as Find the Good Day in Citrus Heights and encourages all residents to celebrate this day by recognizing the good around them, uplifting others, and joining together to demonstrate the compassion that makes our community thrive.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you very much. We're really excited about this, this opportunity, and we hope that the community shares in this choosing of kindness. Our hope is that each act of good inspires another, creating a stronger and more connected Citrus Heights. Thank you for your leadership and for letting our city shine as a place that not only finds the good, but truly is the good. Thank you.
What's the significance of September 18th being the day?
Oh, it's across the nation. They selected.
Oh, it
that
is?
day. Yeah, Junior League is a national organization, so it's an opportunity for everyone to participate.
Thank you. Picture time?
Yeah.
Comments? You any comments? Picture time?
Thank you.
Next item, please.
Next item is presentation number 7, presentation by the Homeless Assistance Resource Team, HEART, on their fiscal year 24-25 nonprofit community support grant.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, council members. It's so nice to see you, and city staff. And thank you for this opportunity to report on the activities of Citrus Heights HEART. We are a nonprofit, volunteer-based, and we work with faith-based organizations here in the city, within the city of Citrus Heights, and we are coming up on 10 years. My name's Irene Ronachek. I am a founding board member and the current president. Our mission is, as a volunteer-driven, community-based nonprofit, is to be dedicated to preventing homelessness and to ending homelessness for folks living here in Citrus Heights. So we do that in a number of ways. The 3 programs that I'd like to highlight here, kind of in a reverse order, are our navigator support or community health worker support. We work with the navigators. They are called community health workers through Community Health Works, which you heard about earlier a little. But the folks that we talk to on the street are more familiar with the term navigators, so I like to use that word. So we help organize opportunities at different churches and locations here in the city where the navigators and other community members can direct folks who are currently living homeless to have a place to rest, cool off, or warm up, charge devices, and have some good food. Most importantly, they can sit with the navigators. The navigators can set appointments with these folks to meet at the different meal opportunities and go through the intake process and see what options are available for each of the new clients. Volunteers can also then help with follow-up for supplies that are needed, bus passes, rides to appointments, and certain financial support that we can offer. At some of these locations, a representative from El Hogar, Core Marigold, here in Citrus Heights, also attends. And that location is at 8421 Auburn Boulevard, Member Schaefer. Also, we're working on Winter Sanctuary. We're currently preparing for our 10th year of hosting our overnight rotating shelter for folks who are living homeless. So we're currently preparing for 7 weeks, and we are so thankful to the many churches that will literally open their doors for the 20 to 25 folks every night with a dry place to sleep, a hot meal, and a to-go breakfast. We do also ensure that there are other services available, including showers, visits with Dignity Health Medical, and hopefully this year, medical and mental health professionals. We also have a Medicare, Medi-Cal specialist, and he is able to walk folks through what benefits they already have, because yes, we don't want them to only utilize the emergency room. We have AA and NA reps. We offer appropriate clothing, haircuts, to name a few of the services. The navigators also visit, as well as a representative from El Hogar, Core Marigold. So the program that I'm here to talk about actually and highlight is our rental assistance program. This is a program that we started in 2021, and since June of 2021, we have been able to assist 48 unique households that house 75 adults and 40 students, and as well as many, many pets. So we have provided about $220,000 in funds that we have gained through different grants, ARPA, ESPA, TOT grants, and now a grant from the city of Citrus Heights. None of those funds go to any administrative costs, no salaries. So in communities like Citrus Heights, many working families are just one emergency away from unstable housing, losing their housing. I had a career in banking before I retired, and I saw how many folks really are living paycheck to paycheck. And it's not a problem, it's not a new challenge, but it is a ongoing challenge. So this program continues to directly support these vulnerable families in Citrus Heights by helping them maintain stability and avoid entering the cycle of homelessness in the first place. So our model includes a home visit by 2 volunteers to meet with the household and ensure that a variety of resources are offered to educate and assist with utilities programs, access to healthy meals and food throughout the month, and offer encouragement, compassion, and kind conversation about tough situations and to work to possible solutions. So it's best to assist a household while they are still housed with ensuring their rental history remains intact, that their utility payment history also remains intact, and that they actively have a dialogue with their landlord or leasing agent. It's less costly to keep the family housed than to rehouse them when already homeless, living in their car or on the street after an eviction. It's especially important that the students in the household maintain consistent attendance at their preferred school. So we also want to minimize the anxiety that the students really do experience when they know that the adults in the household are concerned about their housing. And this is very important because dropout rates are directly related to the possibility of future incarceration and homelessness. So consistent school attendance is key. So we try to help with early intervention and support. And our rental assistance program does align with HUD's definition of homelessness prevention. It is designed to intervene before families and individuals are forced into emergency shelters or live in conditions not meant for human habitation. That's their definition. Indeed, the August 2025 newsletter published by Sacramento Steps Forward, who we spoke of earlier, notes that a top topic of focus for the continuum of care needs to be increasing prevention efforts to keep people from moving into homelessness by providing support, including bridge payments to help with circumstances such as unexpected costs and temporary job loss. So Citrus Heights Heart, with your help, is already doing this. I mentioned how many folks and how much in funds we have spent on behalf of these folks. And so I will now narrow it down to the funds that we received last year. The $40,000 that we received in November and utilized through July helped to keep 20 different households intact and housed. 23 adults, 24 students, and many, many pets. The average amount of assistance for this grant was $2,059. Citrus Heights has increasing rates of rent, and it's not as inexpensive as a lot of people think it may have once been. The highest amount we provided was $4,024. We helped with 2 months' rent, the current and the future, because of a medical challenge in the family. And the lowest amount provided, we had a request from a senior citizen for $464. The people we assisted reflect a full range of Citrus Heights residents, from young couples, single mothers, senior citizens, to some who are disabled or blind, and people in recovery, plus a family that was recently displaced by a fire. So we were able to help them with a rental security deposit before their insurance company was able to respond with funds. So I thank you. I have no photos. We were asked for photos of the activities of our program to offer, but I don't have any. So thank you again for entrusting Citrus Heights Heart with these funds. And I know that there's another agenda item coming up, and I hope that we can look forward to support again. That concludes my report.
Questions or comments?
Thank you for everything you do. 20 families or 20 households is incredible to help them, whereas alternatively, they may have been homeless because of these issues. So that's
Yeah,
incredible.
And the advice and ongoing calls and support that comes from that, sure.
Yeah.
Do you want to pump your spaghetti tickets?
Yes. We do, our one major fundraiser is our Spaghetti Fest. It's coming up Friday, October 24th. And ticket sales are very good. And we have the same band as last year, the Stone Creek Revival Band, which is one of the bands also at the Battle of the Bands coming up over at Rush House coming up soon. We have, it's a really fun night, and we have some folks that we will be recognizing for their work throughout the year.
We missed it last year because it was League of Cities.
Yes.
I'm glad you moved it. Do you have something to say? I have a question. Where are you? Where is Citrus Heights Heart in this? Where are you guys?
You know, I was wondering that myself. I think we're down below that one box at the bottom that says direct services.
Okay.
We're boots on the ground. We're the ones bringing them the water. We're the ones
So do you get
driving them
any
to
funding at
appointments.
all through that through the COC?
Oh, no. No.
Continuing care, okay.
No. We used to receive funds from the county through the TOT grants, but our great supporter, Sue Frost, is not there any longer, and we're working to develop a relationship with the Rosario. So.
I would think
those-
that you'd be part of this picture. Okay. All right.
Maybe.
Thank you.
I just want to thank you very much for answering the question that I had about the community health clinic. Appreciate that. That's something that, while you're not sort of in the picture here, you were able to answer a vital question for me.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
And I just want to commend the rental assistance program, because I think if you can prevent homelessness, it's a lot easier than trying to
It
cure it
is.
after it happens.
It is. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming, Irene. Next item, please.
Next item is public comment, and if members of the audience wish to address the council during the meeting, please fill out a speaker sheet and give it to myself, the city clerk. When you're called upon to speak, step forward to the podium and state your name for the record. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes each, and the mayor has the discretion to adjust the allotted time. There is a countdown display that will flash red at the end of the allotted time. Consistent with the Brown Act, the council is prohibited from engaging in a discussion or taking action on any item not appearing on the agenda. And for this general public comments section, I have 2 speaker cards. One of them is actually regarding the consent item, item number 9. And then I have 7 speaker cards for item number 12 on the nonprofit community support.
Okay, well, starting next meeting, we're going to 3 minutes for public comment, just so you know. But for tonight, because you didn't have warning, and some people may have prepared longer little speech, we'll let you go up to your 5 minutes, because that's what it says on the little blue sheet today. So starting, it was always 3 minutes for 20 years, 25 years, and somehow it hopped to 5, so we're going back to 3. On evenings like the last meeting where there were 20-some speakers, 30-some speakers, it was a long evening. And I think you can express your democratic viewpoint in 3 minutes as well as 5. So that being said, who's our first speaker?
So our first speaker is Laura Wilkie.
Good evening, Mayor Karpinski-Costa and members of the council. I'm Laura Wilkie, and I'm here seeking some additional information. And I'm here to discuss or request additional information regarding 7555 Old Auburn Road. As you know, I was here last council meeting, and that property, you entered into an agreement for lease of that property. I've done my research. I see where the property was purchased in October of '24. And within a 6-month period, one parcel was not deemed necessary by the city, and therefore you started negotiating with a nonprofit for a much-needed service. I don't see anywhere in any city council agenda packet where this property that was purchased for $1.2 million with taxpayer dollars, 0.71 acres in size, over a half of an acre. I don't see where it was deemed surplus property. And I've looked through every council agenda, and I can't find it. So I'm looking for a council communication where it was deemed surplus property. And the surplus, Land Act, the Property Land Act, there's government codes that regulate how an agency is to dispose of city-owned property. And it's to be made available for housing, housing sponsors, school districts, open space, parks and rec. I can't find compliance with that. I'll be looking for letters of that showing that they were notified that this property was available for surplus property. So I will submit a public records request for that tomorrow, and I'm hoping to get a hold of that. I also find it very difficult to believe that it didn't need an RFP. I heard you clearly, loud and clear, that it's not a public project. But I don't understand how a nonprofit with grant funding can then make public improvements on public property. I don't understand how that is not a gift of public funds or that it doesn't need a scope of work. And, with regards to the gift of public funds that I mentioned, $44,000. $44,000 at $500 apiece could have fixed 88,000 feral cats. If your true intent was to deal with the feral cat population, you would have had a defined scope of work to only deal with that. If it goes through the public process and it is rented at a fair market value, like many other properties, then you would have had that income to then give out vouchers for the spay and neuter clinic. You had to go through the process. That's all I had asked, was that you go through the process. So it feels like it's not very transparent. And that's not what government is for. Government is for transparency. We are supposed, it feels disingenuous to me. And so at this time, I think I would like to know why it wasn't needed to be deemed surplus property. And if it was, and if it needs to go through that property or that Surplus Land Act and go through the whole process, then I think it needs to shift. I'm sorry, I think it needs to shift from where it is, and I hate to throw this under the bus, but to go over to your Economic Development Department, and where your director, Megan Huber, she has a great rapport with your community. She has a great rapport with your business owners as well. She will be fair and equitable, and it will go through the process that's required by state law. I don't think you need the government code for the Surplus Property Act, but I have it. I'll include it in my public records request. I'm just looking for some more answers. I'm not finding it transparent, and I have 39 seconds left. So thank you for your time, and I look forward to a response and just understanding your process a little bit more. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Our next public comment speaker to speak on item number 9 on consent, which was the Economic Development Support Fund agreement with Greater Sacramento Economic Council, is Deshawn Spencer.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, and City Council members. My name is Deshawn Spencer. I'm the Associate Project Manager at the Greater Sacramento Economic Council, or GSEC for short. On behalf of GSEC and my leadership team, I want to sincerely thank the members of the City Council here today for your investment and resolute support for our mission to drive economic growth and create high-paying jobs in the city of Citrus Heights and the Greater Sacramento region. This city has proven itself time and time again to be a community prepared and ready for investment, from the 100-acre Sunrise Tomorrow project to investing resources for targeted industry growth in healthcare, professional and financial services, retail and consumer services, and startup and entrepreneurship innovation. GSEC has been thrilled to work alongside your Economic Development Department, Megan, members of the City Council, and community stakeholders to support and elevate and advance these initiatives and the brilliant work you all do to strengthen not only this city, but the region and the state of California. In 10 years of partnership, GSEC has supported the city with 10 unique research cases and generated more than $4.393 million in local tax revenue for a return on investment of $15.92 per dollar invested into our organization. And we're proud to just be getting started. So I wanted to thank you again for your continued trust and support, and thank you to the city manager, Ash Feeney, as well, for your continued leadership. We really look forward to another year of working hand in hand with you all to promote Citrus Heights as a premier destination for residents and communities and companies, to grow, thrive, and prosper. So thank you again. Here's to another year.
And that's all of the public comment for this section of the agenda. The next item is comments by council members and regional board updates.
We'll start with Councilmember Nelson, because it's easy to just start at one end and scoot along.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a couple events to report on and then a couple future events to promote. So I was fortunate enough on the 5th to attend the Hope Gala. And that was my first experience with the organization that puts it on. It's to support domestic violence victims and their children. And it was a hugely impactful event. So I look forward to supporting them and attending in the future. And then I also had the privilege of attending the Tower Bridge dinner on Sunday.
Oh, did you go?
Yeah, my first time. Quite enjoyed it. It was a great opportunity to sit on the bridge and actually just inspect the architecture of it all and to just celebrate the region. And then, speaking of celebrating the region, we have a couple events coming up in the art space. So the first is this weekend and next weekend. It is, I'm going to hold up the magazine here for it. It's SAC Open Studios from Verge, Center for the Arts. And you can find them online. It's Verge, Center for the Arts. This is a countywide tour of artist studios. So over this weekend and next weekend. And we have a few Citrus Heights, or 2 Citrus Heights artists in here that I wanted to shout out. So Maria Soto is showcasing her photography, and her studio is at 6710 Conmara Circle. Conmara? I think I always pronounce it a little differently. Oh, okay, Conmara. Here in the city, and her website is mariasotophotography.com. And then we have Bev Barnett. She has Fiber Arts, and her studio is at 5813 South Grove Drive. And these are both on weekend 2, so next weekend. So if you look on The Verge on their website, you can find all the information I just gave and that of many other artists around the county. So they'll have their studios open, they'll have their artwork available for purchase. So it's a great time. They're actually having a kickoff party tomorrow night at the Verge office downtown, their location there. And then we have Terra Madre coming up that I've mentioned before. That is the last weekend in September. And let me pull up my computer here. It is free to attend, and it is an international food event. And it is normally held in Turin, Italy. And Sacramento was lucky enough to get the Western Hemisphere version of this event. So every odd year, it'll be held in Sacramento, which is very cool. So in Italy, it attracts a crowd of about 300,000 attendees. So pretty big deal, and it's going to be very exciting to have that here in Sacramento, in our county. We have on Saturday, September 27th, a performance by a local musician that we have here in Citrus Heights named John Wild. And he will be performing at 3 p.m. at the Golden One stage. Scrolling up for the address. It is 14th and I Street. So if you can go out and support our local musicians, that'd be awesome. It should be a really good time. I have seen him perform one other time, and he is a true rock star. So very proud that he's from our city here. Yeah. And that's it. Thank you.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Thank you, Mayor. So on the 29th, I had Councilmember Taft and I had a sort of one-on-one briefing with the general manager of RT. And I will say that really, I've been on the RT board for about 1.5 years now. Really well-run organization. I did have a resident who came down to the RT board meeting that was on just this last Monday. And one of the reasons he picked Citrus Heights was because of the bus service that is here. So that was really enlightening to know that somebody came to Citrus Heights because of the good transit that we have here. So then on the 4th, I had a SACOG meeting where we received a briefing from both the California state and the federal lobbyists. And it's just a kind of more of the same, nothing really major to note there. Then on the 5th, with everyone except the mayor, we toured the Republic Services, both their recovery facility that's over off of Watt Avenue, and then their actual trash facility down there on Elder Creek. Really impressive. It was really good to see that there were trucks delivering garbage there from Folsom, and this is, they recover food products, all your bio waste, the green waste is all processed there. And it's just really an interesting operation there. So, and we got to see two of the new EV garbage trucks. Very impressive, very quiet, and it was a very impressive. They actually let us operate the cart lift system, and it was amazing how quiet that was. If you know around here, that's kind of one of the things that I listen for in the morning is the garbage trucks coming around.
That's when you know to bring your cart out.
That's right. Well, that's when I actually freeze my bio waste, and then I take it out of the freezer and take it and put it in the cart about 5:30 every Friday morning. So, so I talked about the RT board meeting, and that's it. That's
You did
all
Monday with the mayor yesterday.
Oh, yes, I did Monday morning with the mayor yesterday. So that was really good.
And thank you for doing that for me.
All right. So on August 28th, I had two meetings, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. My morning meeting was my first time attending the Sac Metro Air Resources Board, and that was a very informative meeting. They were talking about some instrumentation that they were using to measure air quality, and they were deciding on moving it. And so that was interesting. On the afternoon of the 28th, I had my Sac Public Library Board meeting. On the 29th, I attended with Councilmember Schaefer our Sac RT briefing. On the 5th, I also attended the Republic Services tour. And on the 7th, this past Sunday, I attended the Purple Pageant. And that is an organization that is kind of homegrown. It's the Citrus Heights Purple Pageant, and she has created partnerships and relationships with the city of Lincoln as well. So this past weekend, she had her pageant event in Lincoln. And so we got to say hello to our partners out there, and we got to celebrate with Director Kempenar and Director Talwar, and another staff member were there. And I got to speak to the young ladies who are part of the pageant. And that is always touching for me because I have one of those overcomer stories. And, you know, there's nothing more important to me than encouraging younger people to keep going. Keep going. You can be, you know, my main message was it doesn't matter where you start, it matters on your journey. So you just keep going. But that was the highlight of my time in between meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. I missed the garbage tour, but I saved you all from my germs. So I went to, Councilmember Nelson and I, we are on the Quality of Life Committee, so we reviewed a lot of the applications that are the nonprofit funding, which is an item that's coming up. So we reviewed the applications for those, and it was during that meeting that I just about died and went home and had COVID. So I was sick. I am just still recovering with the fatigue and the brain fog and all that. So I really didn't do anything until this morning. We did have a sewer meeting down in Elk Grove at our treatment plant, which is an incredibly beautiful. Encourage you to go online to Sac Sewer and sign up to take a tour of that treatment plant. You know, we approved the rate increases over the next several years. They're going to be creeping up little by little. You're just going to see it small instead of big whopping increases. But, you know, we've got some issue with solid disposal. And so we have to build with the 2010 requirement. This was just so horrible. The 2010 requirement to go tertiary, to clean that water. The water we dump into the Sacramento River is cleaner than the water in the river. So, but to do that required certain treatment of the water. To do that changed the way our solids are treated. So now we have to treat the solids so differently that we're going to need to build another building for the solid waste, so that the solids don't soak anymore and get, scooted up. So it's like another $400 million. It's not small. But hopefully, the built-in rate increases will cover all that we've already, it's not new, it's already passed. And then the last thing I just wanted to mention was, I mentioned last time that I got this on my door. They wanted to inspect my backyard for invasive mosquitoes. So we did call, they did come, and they found invasive mosquitoes in my dog watering bowl. And they found them in one of those watering cans that you water. We leave water in it in case a plant needs water, but it might sit there for a few days, so they found some in there. Just want to encourage you that if you are seeing day-biting mosquitoes, to call the district. It's not like an STD. So just don't be embarrassed. It's part of being diligent is to get these mosquitoes. The district will come out. They went through the yard. They didn't need to fog or treat my yard, but they did point out the places where they took samples and found these larvae of the invasive mosquito. It was not the mosquito, but the larvae. So these are the mosquitoes that carry diseases that we don't have here yet. But once we have the mosquito, then the disease can easily move in. So it's important that we try to get these guys before they establish themselves in our, that's why we call them invasive mosquitoes, because they came from somewhere, and now they're invading us. So anyways, those little guys, so if you have day-biting mosquitoes, report those. West Nile has been low this year. Those mosquitoes are just kind of at a minimum. Statewide, there's been a couple of human deaths. So I still want to remind you to dump and drain and dawn and dusk and DEET and all that stuff, because it's very important. This is the last part of the summer now. We're going to get some of the heat next week. Mosquitoes like to multiply, and so it's a big deal. And it's something you can do to prevent disease for yourself. And I'm not embarrassed. I mean, it happens. And so if you have day-biting mosquitoes, we need to know about it. Thank you. And that's all I have. Next item.
Our next item is consent calendar. Item 8 is the Sylvan Community Center rental fee schedule update. Item 9 is the Economic Development Support Fund allocation for annual agreement with the Greater Sacramento Economic Council. And item 10, banking services request for proposals.
Does anyone wish to pull an item? No? Okay, entertain a motion.
Move approval?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Next item, please.
Next item is public hearing, item number 11. The subject is Grocery Outlet, 5409 Sunrise Boulevard, request for letter of public convenience and necessity. The recommendation is to approve the letter of public convenience and necessity to allow the issuance of a Type 21 alcohol license for the sale of beer, wine for the grocery outlet opening at 5409 Sunrise Boulevard.
Good evening, Council. Allison Bermudez with the Planning Division here tonight with this item. As mentioned, this is a request for a letter of public convenience and necessity for a future store coming to 5409 Sunrise Boulevard. As you might recall, a public convenience and necessity request is presented to you when a census tract area is deemed over-concentrated by the Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control, otherwise referenced as ABC. So ABC, geographically, the census tracts are identified with a certain number of licenses that are allowed per that census tract. And when that number is reached, any additional licenses then are referred back to the local agency for review and approval. And in the case of Citrus Heights, you are that body. As mentioned, this is a new grocery store. This is coming to 5409 Sunrise. It is part of or within the area we call Sunrise Village. They're at the northwest corner of Sunrise and Madison. You might recall this was been a long vacant building where the former Rite Aid is located. Last year, we received the application for the new grocery store. They are doing a major remodel interior as well as some major exterior enhancements, and that work will be starting soon. They're in the permitting process. But as part of their their mix of products, alcohol is proposed to be included. So if you're not familiar with Grocery Outlet, this is our second location in the city. They're a retailer that sells grocery items, household items at a discounted price. They're typically overstocks or closeout products that they buy from name brand retailers or some private label suppliers. This store proposes to operate 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., and they expect to employ about 35 persons. The store has a floor area dedicated to alcohol sales of about 800 square feet, which is about 6% of their total floor area. Alcohol sales are expected to be about 4 to 5% of their overall sales, so a very small amount. Mostly provided as a convenience to customers that are shopping for other items. The store does have some enhanced safety measures, including they train their staff with the specialized regulations of selling alcohol for ID verifications and the selling of alcohol to persons coming in the store, so all the cashiers are trained. They do have a security store surveillance. They all have 16 cameras in the store, and many of them dedicated to the alcohol floor area. As mentioned, the request is for a Type 21. A Type 21 does allow the sale of beer, wine, and distilled spirits. The census tract that they're located in is the 8138 census tract. We saw this census tract a few months ago with Amazon, so it's the same center. That census tract is identified to only allow 2 alcohol locations, and currently we have 8, which does seem like a high number, but when you look at the overall census tract, the number of licenses allowed per tract is determined by population, and this census tract is very heavily in the commercial buildings, so the population is not as large as some other census tracts, so that's why their number is lower. So 8 is to be expected in an area with so many retailers within that boundary. This shows the census tract. You see it goes from Madison up Sunrise to Greenback and down, so it's a very large census tract. And then all the yellow along Sunrise is the commercial area. The census tract is also at the intersection of 4 different census tracts. So this one starts at that northwest corner of Madison and Sunrise, and to the right-hand side, like on the Smart and Sinal side, is a different census tract, and a different census tract where the Trader Joe's Center is, as well as the other quadrant on the other side of the street is a different one. So when you look within this census tract, you can see the locations shown on the map, that there's 8. Several of them are at the north end of the tract along Greenback, but within the vicinity of this proposed location, you have a liquor store, you have a gas station, and then the Amazon Fresh. Probably a more reasonable way to assess whether this should be granted or not is to look within the vicinity of this location. So for that purpose, we have looked at a 1,000-foot radius. So this picks up the quadrant of the intersection and includes all 4 census tracts. And within that area, you'll see the 7 locations, the 2 gas stations, the Smart and Final across the street, the Trader Joe's, the Amazon Fresh, and the liquor store, and then this proposed location. So if you look within that 1,000 feet, there are 2 other grocery stores, actually 3 other grocery stores, and each of them do sell hold a Type 21 license. This was put out for public review, as noticed in the newspaper. We have covered it with the police department, and they have supported this request. And also contained in your packet was a letter from the Sunrise Marketplace, who is supporting the issuance of the license as well. I do believe the applicant or representative of Grocery Outlet is here tonight, should you have any operational questions. And before you is the motion.
Okay, this is a public hearing, so before I open the public hearing, are there any questions for council?
Allison, what's the other type that we typically see besides the Type 21? I was trying to remember what the number was.
So this is for an off-sale, which means the liquor is sold to be consumed off-site. And there's a Type 20, which just is for beer and wine. And then there's a Type 21, which is beer, wine, plus the distilled spirits.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, then I'm going to open public hearing. We hear from the applicant, if they want to speak? No? Okay, is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none? Close public hearing. Entertain a motion.
I move to approve the letter of public convenience necessity to allow the issuance of a type 21 alcohol license for the sale of beer, wine, and spirits for the grocery outlet opening at 5409 Sunrise Boulevard.
I will second.
Moved and seconded. I just want to make a comment. This is like going to be grocery store, corner, somebody, up Auburn Boulevard. It's a wonderful store, by the way. The grocery outlet that's on Auburn Boulevard and Greenback is just a great store. So it's great wines, really good Zinfandel in there. So we'll just, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's an aye for the Zinfandel.
The next item is regular calendar, item number 12. The subject is allocation of nonprofit community support fund fiscal year 25-26. The recommendation is to adopt a resolution approving nonprofit community support fund allocations for fiscal year 25-26.
Good evening, Council. I'm Megan Huber, Economic Development and Community Engagement Director. This item is to consider our annual allocation of nonprofit community support grants. This year's program was launched in July for an application window of about a month, shared on a variety and all of the city's communications channels, along with specific listservs to make sure we're reaching community groups and community organizations. $150,000 total is allocated from the general fund this year to serve this program. And at the end of the application window, the city received 12 applications, which have been provided in the staff report, both in summary analysis as well as individually with applications as well as rubrics. An important step in processing these requests is the bundle is brought to the City Council Quality of Life Committee for review. The Quality of Life Committee met on Friday, August 29th, and determined these subsequent recommendations totaling $132,300. There was significant discussion around how these objective recommendations were reached. I'm happy to answer any specific questions. I also want to acknowledge that we have representatives from these nonprofits here in the audience to make comments as well. So I have a recommendation slide that we'll move on to after that. Just before I open it up to their public comment, I'd like to check and see if there are any questions around the applications or subsequent recommendations.
Are there any questions?
So Megan, you mentioned that we had $150,000. Where's the 17.7 in the balance?
The 17 and change
Yes.
will stay in the community support line item, which means that remaining funding can be used in other grant programs.
Okay.
So this funding bucket is where we utilize funding for economic development support programs, neighborhood improvement partnership funding, community projects grants, and history and arts grants as well. So still plenty of time and opportunity to utilize it effectively.
Okay.
And I just want somebody to comment. Citrus Heights Arts requested 40, recommendation 12, because they're getting the rest of their request from a different pot of money, correct?
Almost. So honing in on the recommendation for Citrus Heights Arts specifically, the original application was for $40,000, a combination of production of the third annual Art Beat event, which is totally fabulous, as well as some action items related to the establishment of the CH40 Arts District. In the quality of life discussion and subsequent recommendation, it was determined that City Council has an Arts and Culture Committee that will be meeting soon, and that is the best place for the Arts District discussion and recommendations to come from.
But there's enough funding in that pot to cover,
We'll have a discussion on what funding can be utilized and what recommendations will be.
okay.
Any other questions I can answer?
I have a question.
Certainly.
Go for it.
So, I mean, really, no offense, I just need to understand this. So, our Councilmember Taft works for Junior Achievement. How is this not, there's no conflict here?
She'll recuse herself on that vote.
Oh, okay,
We'll have a separate vote on that.
okay.
Yeah, the recommendation slide that I'll pull up here at the end has a couple pulled out, just based on that folks have a lot of work being done in our community groups, a lot of local support on the ground. So that'll be reflected in the recommendation slide. Any other questions? Okay, great. Amy, would you mind facilitating some public comment?
Yes, so at this time, I have about 7 public comment speaker cards, so I'll call up the first speaker. Stephanie, is it Berger?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. I am Stephanie Berger, President and co-founder of Silver Wishes. I started.
Oh, you're the gal I would love to talk to.
Oh,
It was an
good.
interesting application.
Great. So I started Silver Wishes 4.5 years ago, and you may already know this, but 1 in 5 residents of Citrus Heights are over the age of 65. All of seniors face different obstacles. They all have their own stories. But the biggest obstacles that seniors are facing right now are health and mobility issues. They are 80% of seniors face at least one chronic illness. 50% have at least 2 chronic illnesses. They also are facing mobility issues, creating loss of independence. It leads to more frequent falls. They're facing obstacles of social isolation and loneliness, which also put them at risk for more serious health conditions like heart disease, stroke, cognitive decline, depression, anxiety, and most of all, too, most seniors are also facing financial insecurity with rising costs of living, medical costs, housing. Their savings and retirement funds are depleting even faster. So Silver Wishes is requesting a grant to support our core program, which is fulfilling one-time meaningful wishes to seniors that live in Citrus Heights. These wishes are thoughtfully tailored to each individual's needs, and they may include wishes that overcome safety hazards in their home, like the wish we granted for Ken and Leslie, whose carpet was bubbling up. Some of the areas had holes in it. They were tripping hazards. They would just pile scraps of carpet on top of each other, making it unsafe for them. We were able to make their wish come true, rip out their carpet, put in vinyl plank flooring. They're now able to live in their mobile home for even longer in a much safer environment. Some of the wishes might include new furniture, especially power lift recliner chairs are our most popular wishes. A wish as simple as a new chair, for example, for a wish for Ted. He had surgery, couldn't even get up to go use the bathroom without assistance, but with a power lift recliner chair, he can get up and go on his own. Or maybe it's something like a burst of joy, like creating a fresh yard makeover. It renews their pride in their home. It brings a burst of joy as they might be coming and going to doctor appointments. And wishes might include funding opportunities to learn new hobbies, like the wish we granted for Linda. We provided her a year of bus passes and a membership to the nearest sports complex where she could meet other seniors, do senior yoga, and connect with other people. By granting wishes that span practical needs and joyful experiences, Silver Wishes provides more than a one-time hour of just smiles, but we help restore dignity, bolster independence, combat isolation, and most importantly, we change their outlook on life going forward. Your support will help empower us to fulfill several meaningful wishes to seniors in Citrus Heights, enriching their well-being and reminding them that they are valued and they're supported members of this community. And I just want to close with one testimony, the wish that we granted for Julie. Julie called us in tears. She said that life has snowballed, got out of control on her. She was very overwhelmed and behind in most of her bills. And she asked if we could help her with some of her bills. And we said, no, we don't give cash, we don't pay bills. Is there an obstacle that you can't overcome on your own that we might be able to help you with? And she said, I haven't had hot water in a year. I can't afford a new hot water heater. Well, we were able to help grant that wish. She called the next day after it was installed. She had a lift in her voice, and she said, I forgot how much a hot shower can change my outlook on life. So thank you for your consideration. Together, we can make a difference in the lives of seniors in Citrus Heights.
I have questions.
Yes.
$5,000 isn't very much money to provide a chair that lifts up. And so what's your annual budget?
Our annual budget is $95,000. We're 4.5 years old. I requested a small amount because we have been in Placer County for the last 4 years, and 6 months ago, we branched out into Citrus Heights. So we're just slowly working our way, and we understand it's going to take us time to just market and get our word out that we exist, so we didn't want to ask for too much, but we know that we can use $5,000 and put it to very good use.
Thank you. Any questions for her?
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Tara Taylor.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and staff. I will be very brief. I just came to say thank you. It's our 6th year in the city of Citrus Heights, and we have now served over 1,500 local single moms. I wanted to come tonight and thank you for your transparency because I was able to look at the agenda packet, read the rubric, see what the questions were. We will be better at pursuing funding in the future. I wish other funders were as transparent as you are. But I want to answer the one question that seemed to really highlight the feedback from the committee, which was we are requesting the bulk of this funding to fund teacher salaries on the front end of opening new classrooms. How will we continue to pay those salaries after this funding expires? And it's the same way every time you funded our seed funding for a classroom to open. By the time we enroll a few students, the teacher salaries are paid. So our preschool childcare costs are 30 to 40% lower than the average regionally, and we can still keep the doors open and pay for whatever we need with just the seed funding to get started. So thank you for your consideration and continued support.
Thank you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Next public comment is Ed Kazmarek.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. You said my name pretty well, Amy. Thank you for that. And I also want to just really want to start by saying I'm Ed Kazmarek with Campus Life Connection. And I want to thank the workers, for example, Megan and Nicole Piva of Citrus Heights. As I've experienced partnership with different areas of Sacramento as the Executive Director of Campus Life Connection, I've rarely seen such great partnership. I really appreciate quick responses, clear answers, informational support. It's been really great to be a partner with Citrus Heights. Long before my time, 2001, Campus Life Connection was working on Sayonara Drive with kids and families, trying to reach kids that were disadvantaged, low-income families, doing tutoring work with the kids and supporting the families in resourcing. Around 2004, if you can believe it, the Sayonara Center came into existence more than 20 years ago. It's really hard to believe. And we've been there since the start. And so this is also more of a thank you message that you continue to support and partner with us to reach kids in this neighborhood. We're looking at over 100 kids this year that will be signed up and be be part of our tutoring, backpack program, Thanksgiving dinners, Christmas fun, all the kinds of things, activities we do year-round with the kids. It also trickles into the families as well. And so families benefit. We estimate over 300 people really benefit from the Sayonara Center. Again, together, it's a partnership with the City of Citrus Heights, and we get the honor and privilege of serving through that center. I just want to thank you again for considering funding us again. We are very careful with dollars that we receive, and it obviously is pricey to run a center where you can have tens and hundreds of kids coming through. But again, it's our privilege, we love it, and we are so thrilled to partner with the city. Thank you.
I have a question. Excuse me. What efforts do you make to do your own fundraising? Because every year, our funding for, we also get CDBG money. So
Right.
every year, our funding for you goes up and up and up. And what do you do to?
Right, that's a great question. I estimate that 25% to 30% of the funds are from City of Citrus Heights. The rest we find ourselves. It's
Big budget.
It is. It's family foundations. It is other grants and our own fundraising that we do through donors. Yeah, so it's over $200,000 operation.
Okay, thank you.
We've got actually 2 to 3 staff and 21 volunteers. So I love that our staff are.
Volunteers don't cost money,
Right.
by definition. All right.
Right.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Sarah Henricks.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Sarah Hendricks. I'm the band manager for the Citrus Heights Community Marching Band. We perform roughly 20 times throughout the year at local parades and community events. Our next event is actually coming up here on October 18th, which is our annual Halloween Parade and Harvest Festival. It's going to be at Rush Park, so I invite you to come check that out. You can find more information on our website at www.chcmb.org. I come to you today to ask to approve this grant. We would not be able to provide a free all-ages music program bringing music to our community without this grant and the city's support. So, thank you.
Going to be a good event.
Thanks, Sarah. And Council, I want to just take a minute, since Sarah mentioned the Halloween parade, to underscore the recommendation for the Citrus Heights Community Marching Band. The request was for $20,000. 10 of that was for band programming, materials, and supplies, and 10 of it was estimated road closure costs for the Halloween parade. Rather than utilizing the grant to fund this, and given that the parade route has changed over time, we instead structured this as a $10,000 grant with in-kind sponsorship for traffic control for the parade. So the city will be a sponsor, and know that that is included in this bundle.
I want to add something. Last year, because I was mayor last year, and as I got to ride down the street, I thought, wouldn't it be nice if all the houses along the parade route competed for best decorations of their front lawns? So this year, the band, Bill is giving a first prize of a television for the best decorated property as we drive along the route. So if you are walking the route and you want to have input as to, I'm sure the neighbors are going to just try to outdo each other. I can't wait to see it. So it's going to be a good event.
The next speaker is Deepak. And I'll have to pronounce your last name, sorry.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and my name is Deepak, and I'm here to request support for the second annual Yoga Fest in Citrus Heights. First of all, thank you so much for funding this year's inaugural Yoga Fest at the Rush Park. It was a greatly attended, successful.
Marin Park.
Yes, Marin Park, sorry. It was a very well attended event, and so it brought together families, seniors, youth, and community members from diverse background, experienced health wellness through yoga and mindfulness. It was a wonderful way to showcase our city's commitment to fostering a healthy lifestyle and building community connection. Yoga is not just about physical postures, it's a lifestyle, and that even brought together vegan food, it brought together breath work, meditation, music, as a family event, as a community event, right? So supporting the grant for the second year, it means, investing in public health and wellness, encouraging residents to adopt simple, low-cost practices, community building, providing a free inclusive event, and city pride and visibility, putting Citrus Heights on the map as a city that values health, diversity, and community engagement. So with your support, we can grow this event even more, right, from the inaugural event, and help the residents with mental health and wellness. So thank you so much for your consideration for a second year in a row, and we look forward to bringing events like this.
Do you want to speak to the other International Association for Human Values, that project?
Yes, so Amit is going to be talking on that.
Oh, Amit's going to do that? Okay. Oh, thank you.
Thank
You
you.
know we love the Yoga Fest.
Yes, thank you so much for your support.
The next speaker is Amit Verma?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, council members. My name is Amit, and I am an instructor with the Sky Resilience Training Program that's designed specifically for veterans and law enforcement officers. I'm speaking tonight to express my strong support for the city's grant application to fund the project Welcome Home Troops program. This program is not just another initiative. It is a vital evidence-based tool that directly addresses the invisible wounds of war, PTSD, anxiety, and depression that many of our veterans and their families carry. The grant we are applying for represents a powerful opportunity. It would allow us to continue to bring this proven wellness program directly to the veterans in our community. This isn't just a feel-good measure, it's a smart investment. The benefits are clear and threefold. For the first one, for our veterans, it provides them with practical, easy-to-use techniques to measure stress, improve sleep, and regain a sense of calm and control, significantly improving their quality of life and easing their transition back into civilian life. For the second, their families. When a veteran heals, their entire family benefits. This program reduces the secondary trauma and stress experienced by spouses and children, leading to stronger, more stable family right here in our city. For our community, strong, healthier veterans are more likely to be engaged, productive citizens. By investing in their well-being, we are reducing long-term social costs and empowering them to become even greater assets to our community. Earlier this year, more than 50 veterans and law enforcement officers took our program. They experienced continued benefits from the Sky training that they learned during the program. We have support letters from Commander, American Legion, Citrus Heights Vet Center, and other veterans in the area. We hope to continue serving our veteran community and those who serve us. Thank you for your time and your consideration for this important opportunity for our veterans.
Thank you.
And Mayor, that we just have one more speaker card. They couldn't be here tonight, so it is a brief video.
Pardon me?
Hello, Mayor and council members. Citrus Heights Arts sincerely appreciates your support of us and the proposed grant. We are entering our third annual Art Beat, and it will be held at Rush Park, smack dab in the middle of the Arts District, CH40. We look forward to seeing you there.
So that was our last public comment from Gigi Rayford.
Okay.
And with that, this is the recommendation. I have split out two of the grants, given that they have associated community champions on council. I'm going to ask you to pay attention to the first and third, given Councilmember Middleton's absence. So the recommendation would be both the first bullet and then the third bullet with a recusal.
What's the third bullet?
I think it's the first and second, Nathan.
Yeah, first and second. The third bullet's the general.
So we'll do the first bullet to pull out the junior achievement specific, and then the third bullet will cover the remainder.
Okay. I think I understand that. Does she have to leave the room?
Yes.
Okay. I'll come and knock on the door.
We'll see you in just a sec.
For those watching, it's because Vice Mayor is employed by Junior Achievement. So we are voting on their application. Motion?
Sure. Yeah, I'll make a motion approving the nonprofit community support fund request for junior achievement for fiscal year 2025, 2026.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And I know Portia would have said yes had she been here. Okay, so now we can have Mary Jane back.
Absolutely.
Actually, a good little project. Okay, next motion.
Citrus Heights Arts now.
No, we could just do number 3. We'll
Yeah,
take care of
if you do number
everybody.
3, that will include Citrus Heights Arts.
Okay.
I move a resolution, City
Oh,
Council.
Councilmember Schaefer, could you just,
Thank you.
microphone, thank you.
I move the resolution of the City Council of the City of Citrus Heights, California, approving recommended nonprofit community support fund allocations for fiscal year 25, 26.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's it. I just want to thank all the nonprofits that applied for these funds, for the good they do in our community. I mean, it's just, you can see the varied amounts of services provided, you know, from health and health to child to Sayonara Center, and it's just marching band. It's just a wonderful community that we have, that we support. We're happy to do it. Okay, there's one more item, at least on our agenda.
The next item is regular calendar, item number 13. The subject is designation of voting delegate and alternates for the League of California Cities Annual Conference. And the recommendation is to make a motion to designate a voting delegate and up to 2 alternates to participate at the annual business meeting on October 10th, 2025 during the Cal Cities Annual Conference.
Do we have to do that today, or can we wait till Portia gets back?
The deadline to report the delegates to the league is September 24th, which is the same day as our city council meeting. I don't know if they have a hard deadline of 5 PM that day, but that's why we did it tonight.
You were delegate last year.
Mayor, I think by tradition, we should have the newest and youngest council member be our delegate, just like
Amen.
I was last
nominate
year.
Kelsey Nelson.
I second that nomination.
She hated doing it last year. She had to sit there all day.
I figured.
You might have to check your airplane ticket, see when you're supposed.
That's funny. I didn't know about that tradition, but I happily accept.
But as in the staff report, there's no resolutions that sometimes they have a real good resolution that you get to vote on, but there are no resolutions unless somebody comes up with one at the meeting.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, all right, I'll second Kelsey Nelson.
Yeah.
Do we need a staff report?
Well, so I've heard that there was a motion to nominate Kelsey as the voting delegate. Was there an interest to appoint any alternates?
Well, I think we should nominate Mary Jane since she's the exiting last year's delegate. So
Because
I second.
the council can appoint up to 2 alternates.
I'll accept as the backup.
And see, now next year, she'll be the backup. And if we have a new council member, they'll,
Maybe.
maybe. All right.
So we need to do another one as well?
It's an unsung thank you, is what it is.
So,
Okay. right,
So
we
if
have-
if the motion is to make those appointments.
Yes,
with
Kelsey and
Councilmember-
alternate Mary Jane.
Okay.
I think
And-
that's all we need, Tim. Don't push it.
Okay. So we will notify the league if that's the desire and the consensus of the.
And if Portia wants to be an alternate, if she expresses a desire, we can throw her in there as an
There
alternate.
was an issue, is she still serving on the?
She's not on the board anymore, I don't
Oh,
think,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she couldn't do it.
but if she wants to,
Okay.
Okay,
we don't mind.
okay. So that's
Okay.
the direction of the city council.
And it's the direction of the council.
Okay.
Okay, next item.
Next item is department reports, and there are none. Next item is city manager items.
Well, good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council, Ash Feeney, your city manager. I do have a few updates. First, I want to recognize tomorrow, September 11th. The Sylvan Cemetery is holding a ceremony in honor of all those that lost their lives on that terrible day. And that will be starting at 8:15. It's a very brief ceremony. It goes, I believe, from 8:15 to 8:45. And that is at 7401 Auburn Boulevard at Sylvan Cemetery. Next slide, please. Battle of the Bands is coming up. That will be this Saturday, and that's a benefit for the American Legion. City of Citrus Heights is a sponsor. I know we also have a couple of our council members that have been sponsors of that event as well. Music, food, beverages, fun. Hopefully we'll see people there, and I think it starts at 11 a.m. till 3 p.m. We have this on our website. It's also on the American Legion's site as well. If you'd like to purchase tickets, it should be a great time for a great cause. Supervisor Rosario Rodriguez has a community meeting here in Citrus Heights City Council Chamber at 6 p.m. on September 15th. So that's coming up quickly here on Monday. So we have an exciting event that's coming up on Friday, September 19th. And this is one that our team has put a ton of work into, and it's an inaugural event, and it's going to be an excellent time. Our team member that really spearheaded this event and has organized it, Jessica Andrews, unfortunately, we learned that she passed away last night. And so that was some very sad news here in City Hall, but I think the best way we can honor her, and I know no matter what, she would want this. She wants the community to turn out in an event that she put so much effort into and cares so much about. She's done so much for this community, from some of the fantastic times we've had at Stars and Stripes to all the events we've had at the community center, the event center, that she really helped, kind of bring that pulse back to. We're going to miss her on a lot of different levels, but if the community can turn out for this wonderful event, Citrus Nights, it's going to be all about bands, good times, good beverages. We're going to have the Chamber's going to have a wine and beer garden there, so there'd be nothing more that she'd want for people to come out and enjoy that event and celebrate her also and celebrate her good work. So that will be Friday, September 19th from 6 to 9 p.m. at Van Maren
Dancing,
Park.
right? We dance.
Absolutely, dancing, lots of good times. So very excited about that event, but a sad, somber day with the loss of a valued team member in Jessica Andrews. She's a very special person.
I would love to go, but I'll be in Cincinnati.
All right, well, we'll make sure that we're having a good time there, and we know you'll be there in spirit.
I'll drink your wine for you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
That concludes my updates.
Are there any future items for council members? Anything, anybody want anything? Okay. I'd like to adjourn our meeting in honor of Jessica Andrews.